Welcome to Legacy Lounge, the podcast where you'll discover how to lead with purpose and build a legacy that matters. So if you're ready to step into your full potential, show up authentically for yourself and others, and create a lasting impact on the world, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Hey there, welcome back. I'm your host, Brin'na, and today we're going to talk about something that might be costing you way more than you even realize, and it's called the decision trap. So over the last month, I've been working with one of my private clients on a pretty agonizing situation that she was stuck deciding between to or not to promote someone internally from her team. 3 weeks went by and the role stayed open. It's a critical role on the team, and the business was literally suffering without leadership in the position itself. They needed to make a decision. And a year ago, they would have probably spent another month creating some elaborate assessment where they pull every metric and they're consulting everyone for every input and decision. But instead, they just had to ask themselves one question: who would I call at 2 a.m. if this fell apart? The answer was obvious, and it made her decision crystal clear that she was able to go in the next day after work and finally offer the promotional position. But you know what? It's times like these when the world feels super uncertain, and when things are rapidly changing, especially across the landscape of retail, and people are looking to leaders for clarity. They are looking for leaders to be decisive. And it matters even more in a critical time like this, where everyone is looking for an answer and support. It's not reckless leadership. It's not leadership without concrete thoughts to back it up that are very intentional, but leadership that doesn't hide behind endless analysis when people need a decision to be made. Leadership that trusts itself enough to move forward, even when the path might not be totally perfectly clear yet. It's leadership that creates momentum instead of paralysis. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So here's what's pretty wild to me. As leaders, we trick ourselves into thinking that more analysis equals better decisions. Hiring someone? Better do 7 rounds of interviews just to make sure. Restructuring a team? Better get input from at least 15 people first before we decide on what we're going to do. Choosing a new vendor to bring into your space? Well, we better build a 47-point PowerPoint presentation just to make sure that the spreadsheet is crystal clear on why it's the best choice. But here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. You're not going to eliminate risk with more meetings. You're just going to waste time pretending that uncertainty doesn't exist. Meanwhile, the most precious resources that you have are disappearing left and right. Your time, your team's momentum, and your leadership credibility. Gone. So let me tell you what some of the most magnetic leaders do that I know. They make good enough decisions fast. And they follow a very simple framework. They start with step 1. They admit what they actually know versus what they pretend to know. And I would encourage all leaders to stop building elaborate decision-making processes to mask the fact that leadership inherently involves uncertainty. Sometimes we create the complexity ourselves just to avoid the discomfort of making a decision. Step 2, identify who has domain-specific expertise. Someone on your team or in your network or in your personal board of directors has actual experience with the exact challenge you're facing. I guarantee it. Not someone who has an opinion, because everyone has opinions, but someone that has expertise that can support you in the decision-making process as a leader. For my client, it was their gut instinct built from years of leading people in the exact space that they were expanding. Step 3 is to ask the right questions. Be specific about what your actual constraints are and what matters most, not who's the best candidate, because then everyone's opinions come into play. It's who would I trust to handle this when I am not in the room? That changes the perspective and it makes it super easy. It's not what's the perfect solution, but rather what's the solution that moves us forward. Again, protecting the business outcome and the team at the center. Step 4 is to trust and move forward. Trust your assessment. Trust your expert. Don't second guess yourself with 3 more rounds of interviews just to be sure that feels like productivity when really you're just spiraling inside the analysis phase. Being decisive means taking action with the information that you have, accepting the consequences and moving on. Now, most leaders hear this and they panic. But what if I promote the wrong person? And typically my response is sometimes you will. But here's what magnetic leaders do. They own it. They course correct it quickly. They stay close enough when onboarding to support that person being successful, and they move forward. The mistake isn't promoting the wrong person. The mistake is letting the wrong person stay in a role for months because you're too slow to make the next decision. That's still better than spending months deliberating while your team suffers like a leadership vacuum that's just sucking the life out of everyone to carry extra workload longer than they need to. Most magnetic leaders that I know, they are decisive. They make decisions, they own the outcomes, and they keep moving forward. There will only be a few decisions that truly define your leadership legacy. So spend your energy on those. And for everything else, stop pretending that more analysis will eliminate uncertainty, because your time is worth it. Your team's momentum is worth it. Your leadership credibility is worth it. So this week, for some dinner table conversation, here's a question you can ask. When your team gets home tonight, will they talk about someone that makes things happen, or will they talk about someone who endlessly deliberates and waits and causes more chaos than good? Because that is a definition of your leadership legacy. Until next time, trust yourself and make the call, and remember, you've got this, and I'm right here beside you. My name's Brin'na, and I'll catch you on the next episode of The Legacy Lounge. That's it for this episode of Legacy Lounge, a podcast dedicated to empowering you to lead with purpose. Remember, leadership begins with you. When you're connected to your values, strengths, and authentic self, you show up powerfully for your team, businesses, and everyone you lead. To authentically lead others, you must first lead yourself. I challenge you to consider, how are you investing in your personal growth to create a legacy that you envision? Thank you for joining me in the Legacy Lounge. If this episode sparked any thoughts or inspired action, I'd love to hear from you. I'm your host, Brin'na Rollins-Williams. Connect with me on LinkedIn or other socials, and let's continue the conversation. Remember, your legacy is built one intentional step at a time.